My friend, welcome back to the channel. I am so glad that you have returned. I wanted to get back on here today, and I wanted to piggyback off of the video that I recently uploaded of 3 reasons why you should not buy a new car. And I had the thought process, I do these videos for my car. I was open with you guys about my decision-making process with buying a new vehicle. So I wanted to open up and talk to you guys about how I paid off my car in 1 year. So as you guys know, I'm currently sitting in a 2009 Honda Civic LX. When I purchased this vehicle, I got it for $8,000 in total. I ended up having 140,000 miles on the dash when I got the car. You might think to yourself, that is a lot of miles on a car, but my friend, this is a Honda. Hondas and Toyotas, they are 2 of the best car brands out there when it comes down to affordability for parts and when it comes down to the reliability of their engines. They're amazing vehicles. I highly recommend it. I stand behind it. And yeah, so let's get into it. I have 5 ways that I ended up paying my car off. And way number 1 was that I made sacrifices and I limited unnecessary spending. This is the one thing that I'm so glad that I ended up doing, because this allowed me to pay my car off in 1 year. Just a little bit of backstory. Around the time that I purchased my car in 2023, I was a maintenance man during the summer, but during the school year, I was a playground and cafeteria aide. So just a little tiny peek into my finances at that time. As a playground and cafeteria aide, I roughly made about $800 to $900 a month. Like it was a part-time job, but it was full-time hours because I was working 5 days a week. But I worked a couple hours in the morning and I worked a couple hours in the afternoon. And it's a blessing that I was able to go through that, because having that part-time job enabled me to be able to have the time to go to school full-time and to get my associate's degree, because at the time I was really on the path of teaching. I wanted to do it, and I told myself, Z, this is a way that you can get your foot into the door, so run with it and go for the opportunity. And when I got the car, I saved up roughly $3,000-ish. And when I went to the car lot, I went with my stepdad, and we ended up sitting there for a number of hours and running the numbers and all of that good stuff. And it came down to, okay, what do you want to put down on the car? Because I didn't have enough money to pay for the car outright. I was trying to finagle the guy. I think I had about $5,000 cash saved up in my account. But my stepdad was telling me, like, do not put all of that money down. You want to be able to have some left over. You want to be able to buy your tags. You want to be able to get your insurance. You want to be able to get your registration, all of that good stuff. So I ended up putting down $2,000 on the car that day so I could drive off the lot with it. Now that ended up opening up the account that I had with Westlake Financial, which is the company that, the car company I went with, the lot, they ended up selling the title and all of that. I don't know exactly how that operates and works, but all I know is they fronted the money, they got the car lot, the bread that they needed, and then it was my responsibility to make sure I paid Westlake Financial so that they did not come and take this vehicle from me before I owned it. So what I did was I made sacrifices and I limited all unnecessary spending. I was not eating out. I was focused on, okay, I need to spend this amount of money for lunch, for work every day. I need to spend this amount of money for dinner every single day. I need to make sure that I'm staying on top of my bills. And I did not have a lot of money for other things. You know what I mean? And it really helped me focus and it helped me discipline, because my routine was work. My routine was the gym. At the time, I was a youth pastor, so my routine was church and then was home. So those are the 4 things that I did. And that really helped out a lot. Number 2, I wrote down my income bi-weekly and calculated what I could put towards the debt. Now, when you are paying off a debt, they give you a minimum payment that you are required to pay to be able to make sure that your account does not get defaulted and to make sure that you are current and you stay out of the red, right? So my thought process was, let me track everything. And there's another video that I'm going to do pretty soon, and it is all about how I track my money, my finances in a notebook. It's very tedious, but it has to be tedious because you have to keep track of everything that's coming in and everything that's going out. So what I ended up doing was I wrote down my income bi-weekly. So if we look at the month of May, right, I wrote down, okay, on the 1st I get paid, on the 15th I get paid. So this is my money that's coming in. All right, these are my bills that I have, right? This is the rent that I'm paying. This is what I'm paying for groceries. This is what I'm paying for gas. This is what I'm paying for my phone. This is what I'm paying for car insurance. This is what I'm paying, and fill in the blank. And I ended up calculating, okay, if I need this much to survive on bills every single month, and if this much is my minimum payment for the car loan, I need to make sure that I have at least that much wiggle room every single month to make that car payment. It's very simple, but like I said, it is rigorous, and you have to be rigorous and tedious like that when you want to get out of debt. All right, number 3, this goes into number 2. I doubled up on payments, and I paid more than the minimum payments alone. When you when you pay only the minimum payment on a loan or on a bill, you're not really paying to the principal. You are just paying interest. So there's so much money. This train is loud as heck, and it's mad short. That's crazy. There is so much money that ends up getting spent that's unnecessary because you're spending the money on interest instead of necessarily the payment. So if I would have just stayed remaining on the minimum payment, I can't even record a video, huh? Come on, dog. All right, whatever. We're going to rock it. If you just stay on the minimum payment, you're only going to spend money on the interest more than the actual principal. So you're spending a whole lot of unnecessary money that doesn't need to be done, but you're able to cut that in half when you make sure that you're maximizing on doubling up those payments, because you'll be able to get out of that debt quicker. All right. Number 4, I had the mindset of ownership and over being a borrower. You know, I believe in the values and the principles and the philosophies that is found in the scriptures. And Proverbs talks about being a lender, not a borrower. It talks about us being a head and not the tail in Deuteronomy. So at the end of the day, I think to myself, I don't want to be a borrower forever. I want to be an owner. I was not put here. I was not placed on this earth so I can borrow and make sure that somebody else is able to eat off of the fruit of my labor. I want to be able to own it. I want to be able to have a claim and say, hey, this is my vehicle. I want to be able to have that title and say, this is my car. I own this. I don't owe anybody anything. I own this, right? And number 5, I didn't settle for the 3-year plan that the bank had me on track for. They had me on track for a 3-year loan. I know one of the ways that they try to get you when you are leasing a vehicle, they encourage you to stay the course of the loan, because if you stay the course of the loan, then it is able to be reflected on your credit report. You have to be paying off a car for at least 2 years in order for that to reflect on your credit. And one of the main things that they were telling me was, hey, if you want to work on your credit score, you want to make sure that you drag out the loan as much as possible, because this shows the credit reporting agencies that you have good standing with credit because you're able to stay on top of these payments. Freak all of that. Realistically, my credit was already at 760 at that time, and I didn't care about that. I cared about getting out of debt, because when I did the math afterwards, I think altogether I spent, I want to say a little over $9,000 in that year span where my loan was open. So if I spent a little over $9,000, I forget the number exactly, but if I spent over $9,000 and the car was actually $8,000, roughly I spent $1,000 and just gave it away and just burned it up. For what? So I just say all this to say, if you have a plan and if you have a goal and if you are determined to pay off your vehicle in 1 year, you can do it. Huge shout out to Dave Ramsey, because in the process of me paying off this loan, I found Dave Ramsey's content and I found the baby steps, and I saw baby step number 1 was to save $1,000 as an emergency fund, and baby step number 2 was to pay off your debts, smallest to largest. So at that time, I had school loans I was paying off. At that time, I had credit cards I was paying off. And at that time, I had the car to pay off. So I literally used that debt snowball method, and I paid off my debts, smallest to largest, which the largest one was this car. And within a year, I was cleared completely of my student loans. I was cleared completely of my credit debt, my consumer debt, and I was cleared completely of my car debt. So I just want to make this video to be able to show you guys that it's possible for you to pay off a debt. It's possible for you to pay off a vehicle. It's possible for you to do it in a smaller window of time than the time that the people who are charging you, if you are disciplined and if you are focused and if you just stay the course. So my friend, like always, my goal is not only for you to be well financially, but to be well in every other area of life as well. And I understand the clarity that comes with financial freedom. I understand the clarity when you don't have a debt looming over your head. There is a peace that is indescribable. So I hope that this video is able to go into your arsenal. If you are currently on track to paying off a car loan right now, or on track to doing anything else debt-wise and taking care of something, I just encourage you, follow these steps that I laid out. You know, make sacrifices and limit unnecessary spending. Write down your income bi-weekly and calculate it of what you can put towards that debt. Double up on your payments and pay more than the minimum payments alone. Have the mindset of ownership and not borrowship, and don't settle for the loan plan that they are giving you, because their goal is to make money off of you while you are paying them unnecessary money. That's backwards, yo. So take this, apply it, and talk to me in the comments. Let me know exactly how this has worked for you if you've done it. Let me know if you are thinking about doing it. And ultimately, if you got any value or anything from this video, I do ask that you share it. I ask that you comment. I ask that you like. I ask that you subscribe. The goal for me is not to blow up and go viral and to make buku bucks off of YouTube. The goal is to help everyday average Americans just like myself get to a spot where they can breathe freely and they can escape the rat race one step at a time. Huge shout out to the special guest, which was the train that had me frazzled for a little bit. But I told myself, yo, we got to stay on track. We got to get this video, get this content done, because at the end of the day, I want to make sure that you guys are able to have authenticity. I want to be able to make sure that you guys can see me, the man that I am. And at the end of the day, life ain't perfect. Nothing really is. I'm on my break right now. I'm about to go back into work. I'm about to get this video edited and situated so it can be uploaded later on today. So remember, the grind does not stop no matter what. If you have a dream, wake up, turn it to a goal, write it down, make it plain, and go after it. I'll catch you guys on the next one.